All right, we're good.
So good morning, folks. Welcome to our Zoom webinar today. This is Navigating the CARES Act, and we're going to go through this. And it's an overview of the CARES Act and hopefully how it applies to helping you as with your business and real estate or sole proprietors. Just a quick disclaimer, we don't work for the federal government or the Small Business Administration, though I am an Army reservist still at the end of my career. Retiring is right in the corner, but we're not bankers, accountants, or attorneys, but we're real estate brokers who are concerned about serving our community and navigating through this and helping folks find out what's best for your business and making sure that you're taking advantage of these opportunities, keep your business going. We're going to provide this information as best we know it, but we certainly would recommend that if you have detailed questions, either accountant or attorney, or you're a small business rep, and we'll provide some of that information as we go through this on the Small Business Association. So this is facilitated by myself, Andrew Lynn, and of course our right hand, Martha Chapman, with ERA Davis and Lynn. And we'll hand this over to Andrew. He had a couple things he wanted to speak to before we get into the details.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Martha. Again, welcome. We hope that at the end of the day, at the end of this presentation, you are armed with information to help you navigate through this. We want to be able to advise you as an agent, guide you as an agent, and protect you. We think this is very important during this time. Don't care, have you been in the business a year, 2 years, where you work, it doesn't matter. We're all in this together. And yes, marketing is important. Yes, lead flow is important. Yes, the digital office is important, but this is the most important thing that we want you to understand. We want you to be around for the rebound. This is we think one of the most important things that we can continue to help. We've armed our team with this information, and we want to arm everybody else just with good information. So hope at the end of this has been helpful information. We have a Facebook group, which some of y'all probably already connected to. Stay informed. Things have changed on a regular basis since the CARES Act has come out. So we are going to continue to, as things change, evolve, give daily or weekly updates of best practices or things that we hear. So turn it back over to you, Jamie. But hope this has been helpful to guide you, protect you, and advise you through this time.
Thanks, Andrew. Great stuff. And I will tell you what we're doing on a daily basis is we're listening in on all of the resources. The National Association of Realtors have been great coming up and providing information. The Florida Realtors are coming and providing information. Realty Corporation, our master corporation, has providing information as long as all the brands. We're jumping in, we're listening in, we're learning, we're developing relationships with friends in the Small Business Administration, Chamber of Commerce, things like that. And just as information comes out, we're going to share it, whether a venue like this or like many of you have probably seen the COVID-19 Realtor, Real Estate Professional Resource page. If you're not friends with us there, please come into that group or ask to come to that group and invite other folks. It's just about sharing information. And most importantly, when you go through this and you do get paid, we'd like to know that because we want to see how quickly that this is all flowing. One last little update is that right now the Congress, the House and the Senate are working on an amendment to the CARES Act where they're going to add more money to the small business part of this because they've had so much interest and so many people are getting into it, so it's looking to add money to it. So we'll drive on from there. So what is the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, otherwise known as CARES Act? The things that for real estate professionals, sole proprietors, independent contractors, where it applies to us. There's of course the unemployment insurance provisions that are in it. $600 per week payment for recipients. That's provided for in the CARES Act. Some states are providing those benefits to independent contractors. Some are not. Florida is one of those states that is still not providing unemployment insurance. We're going to continue to monitor that. We know the Florida Realtors and the National Association of Realtors are pushing them hard to get the states up and going. I think it's more of a process thing than anything, but it is provided for. So stay tuned for more information because that may be benefits there. The recovery rebate, that was the thing that in the press that folks talked about first. The $1,200 refundable tax credit, $2,400 for joint, $500 for each kid. That should be coming if it hasn't come to you already. Of course, it depends on income. So that's something to watch for. But what we're going to talk about today is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, or EIDL. I think American Idol is the way it's being presented out there. 350 billion of that's dollars allocated for the Paycheck and the Paycheck Protection Program. Those are both available to independent contractors and sole proprietors at a point in time, and we'll go through that and talk about that here today. So this is a brief overview. The funds are coming from the U.S. Treasury. They can be applied, they can be applied for through this link. This is for the EIDL program, okay? Then we'll talk about the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, and how that can be applied for through your bank. There's no cost, there's no obligation. On the EIDL program, it's up to $25,000 unsecured, so you don't have to show that you're actually making money, and automatically deferred for 12 months. So if you have any existing disaster loans from the past, if you're involved in a hurricane area or something like that, they cannot be consolidated. So this is
Hey Jamie, Jamie, let me hop in real quick. I forgot to mention to everybody on the call, we've had a lot of other people have hopped on, which is great. If you guys have any questions throughout this, put them in the chat box, and we'll go through them towards the end. But I forgot to mention, if you have any questions, don't forget about them. Put them in the chat box, and we'll cover those at the end. Sorry, go ahead, Jamie.
No, that's a good point. Please drop them in there, and if we don't know the answer, we will go find the answer for you and make sure that we get it back to you on that. So please drop those questions in there. So this is the disaster loan steps. This is a busy slide. This is straight from the Small Business Administration. I just want to kind of show the process that we go through. Then we're going to do a little deeper dive on each of the loans. So these are the relief programs, the EIDL program, the PPP program, and ultimately, eventually, unemployment whenever they free that up. So here's what we think we know about EIDL. Up to $10,000 of this money will be forgiven. No tax implications. You can borrow up to $2 million. Okay, it all depends on revenue, of course. Interest rates for the part that's not forgiven, it's going to be 3.75% for small businesses, 2.75% for nonprofits. So if you do work with a nonprofit, i.e. a church, a charitable organization, there is an opportunity to take advantage of this loan, and terms are up to 30 years. What can you use it for? Fixed debts, payroll, accounts payroll, some bills that could have been paid, you can't pay because of the disaster. So this is what we know, and we make a note of this, that some of this has not been changing, but it's been being modified as we go, and we're trying to stay on top of that to provide for you guys. But if you have detailed questions that you personally, would encourage you to consult your small business association rep in town, and we have a link there that you can link, and I will share this on our Facebook group so that you have access to it. But you can go to that link and find out who your local rep is. So applying for the disaster loans, or the EIDL loan. So this is what the first page looks like. Real easy, real simple process. You click on the link, you go to this page, and you start answering the questions. Now, if you're a business, if you're an LLC, an S Corp, something like that, and you're obviously under 500 employees, you would click the first one there. But for most of us, it's going to be a sole proprietor or an independent contractor with or without employees, and that would be clicking on number 2. Okay, so this is the eligibility requirements. This was talked a lot about on the media, the things that we can't have done. So you simply go through and click all the following, review and check all the following. You must check all of them in order to move on. Okay, the business information page. I went ahead and plugged in sole proprietor because that's going to be the case with most real estate professionals. Your business legal name is going to be you, unless you have a PA or an LLC or something like that. So it's just your name. Your trade name is obviously you. And then if you do not have an EIN number, meaning you're a sole proprietor, you're an independent contractor, and you run your business through you take your commissions directly to you, that would just be your Social Security number, okay? And then you check all the other questions. Are you a nonprofit? Yes or no. Obviously, if you're representing a charitable organization, a church or something, that would be yes. And if you're a franchise, your answer is going to be a no. In the case of a company like ERI Davis and Lynn, we would check yes if we are a franchise. But for most independent contractors, that answer would be no. Your gross revenues, that is your income that you had, your commission income from February 1st, 2019 to January 30th, 2020, when the disaster, federal disaster, was announced. Okay, so you know, you can use your 1099s, but you've got a month in there that's not going to be reflecting your 1099. So you're gonna really need to go back and make sure you look at your commissions. And I know in our case, we're working with our agents to provide them with a report of that so that they can have that 12 months worth of income. And that's the revenues are simply your commissions. If you're a real estate professional, if you're running your own company, then it would be your revenues, whatever they are. Now, cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold is if you had an inventory or you created a product, okay? In most cases for real estate professionals, that would be zero. There'd be nothing there because there's no product, there's no inventory. And then for most service type of folks, that would be a zero. And then if you have rental properties, this is an opportunity to plug in rental properties. If you are, you do your own rentals, do your own management, and then there's a nonprofit piece to that. And at the bottom, the combined annual operating expenses, it's whatever it takes to operate your business, your sole proprietor business. Now, with all this, I know there are folks that are teams. If you have a team and you're paying somebody 1099, then that would come into play in all this too. And there's a section part in there where you say how many employees you have. And by employees, I mean people that work for you directly, okay, that you pay, whether it's through W-2 or 1099. Now going back to just reiterating, this is 12 months prior to January 31st. So you go all the way back for both your operating expenses and for your revenues. Okay, business owner's information, you being the agent, you're the owner of your company, your name, mobile phone, what your title, obviously owner of your company. And this is a little confusing for some folks who maybe don't have an LLC, but are actually just a real estate agent selling real estate. Just treat yourself as your own company and think of it that way. And your owner percentage is going to be 100% for you, an email and your social security number. Now, if any of this stuff conflicts, it will stop you. If there's conflicts with maybe it's somebody else's information. It's why you can't put your social security number in there twice. You can't put an EIN number in there twice, and it will stop you. Certainly, if you come in and have any problems with any of this as you go through it, feel free to jump on the Facebook page, private message us, and we're happy to, get on there and help you navigate through the best way we can. Then your birth date and your place of birth, and that's where they go through part of the verification process. Okay, next page, step 3, there's some additional information, questions they're going to ask. Have you been convicted of a criminal offense, things like that, answering all those questions. And then if anybody helped you with this, and we would not count as somebody helping you with this, so please don't put our information in there. This would be if you had an accountant helping you, if you had a consultant, if you had an attorney, somebody in an official capacity to help you get through this, and they charged you for it, you would go ahead and plug that information in there. And then lastly, it's going to ask you where to send the funds. It's going to ask for your bank name, account number, and a routing number, okay, to send it to. And then at the end, you would click, I certify under penalty of perjury. So this is a very big deal. It's very important to be very thorough, take your time, get your information correct, plug it all in, and check the last box, and then click next. Okay, when all this is done, you should see a confirmation number pop up. Okay, copy that confirmation number down, make sure you have it, because you'll need to be able to refer to it if the Small Business Administration comes back and asks you any questions, excuse me, later. But that completes the application. And to date, most of the folks that we've had going through this is where we are. Most of us have a confirmation number and we're waiting. That's where we're waiting to see if anybody has actually gotten paid. When that starts to flow, we'd like to communicate that and let people kind of know. They originally said it would take 3 days to process, but we can see by the number of folks that have done this that it's going to take quite a bit longer. The Small Business Administration was not built to handle this volume of people, so they're working like hamsters on a hamster wheel as fast as they can. We've been in contact with some folks on the inside, and they're bringing folks who don't work the loan process and bringing everybody in, all hands on deck, to process this for everybody.
Jamie,
Okay,
if I may, before you step away. We had a question in the chat box from
What's that?
Mike. He said, I have personal rentals, a sole proprietorship, and I'm a realtor. Are these treated as separate businesses? Can each be filed in this program?
No, good question. If you are a sole proprietor and it's your name that you run everything through, you would put everything in there. So that would be your commissions, that would be your rental income, all that stuff would go in there. The only way you would be able to separate them is if you had an LLC that you were running part of your business through, and then another one that you ran the other part of the business to, then you could do it separately.
And one other question, can I apply for COVID-19 EIDL with a business operating for less than a year?
You can apply, okay? What we don't know is how that's going to impact how they do it. So, and we'll get into the PPP in a minute. So that's why we're encouraging everybody to do both. And then let's see how it all plays out. They're asking for 12 months of revenue for the EIDL program. The PPP program typically asks for a couple months of bank statements and payroll. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So we're encouraging everybody to do both, and then let the Small Business Administration help kind of navigate through that, and we'll get more answer to that question, but that's a good question. Okay. So what's likely going to be requested? Obviously, the loan application, a personal financial statement. They may come back and ask for that. Schedule of liabilities, tax information authorization. These are things they could ask for. Now, many of us have not been asked for these yet, but here's the link to the forms. You can go get those forms. I recommend you go ahead and fill them out, get your information together. So they do come back and ask you for them. You've got them, you're ready, and there's no delay in processing. Things that may be requested, federal income tax returns, your most recent federal tax return. If you've done 2019, obviously having that available. For those of you guys who aren't aware, they have extended the time that the 2019 tax returns to be completed and payments to be made to July 15th. So I know many of us have not done our 2019 yet, but if 2018 will work, having those available, current year-to-date profit and loss statement. Now, a lot of sole proprietors cases, we might not have that. And that's where having a personal income statement and having all your information, even if it's a bank statement, are important to have. And additional filing requirements, monthly sales figures, things like that. It could be simply just a printout, and that's where I would encourage you to work with your, if you're a real estate agent, working with your broker, getting a printout of your February to January information. Okay, so moving on to PPP, what we know about PPP is that you must work through an FD. Now just to be caveat, these are two completely separate programs, okay? The EIDL program is economic disaster relief. The payroll protection program is specifically designed for the for payroll protection from the CARES Act. Okay, you can apply for both. Okay, so you can apply for both. In fact, we're recommending that folks do both at the same time. And sole proprietors, as you can see here, sole proprietors, independent contractors can start applying on April 10th. Now, April 3rd, it opened up for any businesses. So if you're LLC, S Corp, C Corp, whatever it may be, those folks are applying right now. A lot of brokerages we know they're applying right now. But on April 10th, it opens up to sole proprietors and independent contractors. If you're going to apply for PPP, and what PPP is designed to do is if you're an independent contractor, is to pay you, okay, to pay you your payroll. So whatever you would pay yourself. I know a lot of folks already have systems in place where they work with an accountant and they pay themselves and they pay quarterly taxes, things like that. That's between you and your accountant, but that's what that's referring to. You can get them both, but the PPP program is designed to take care of the payroll. The EIDL program is designed to be disaster relief. You cannot double pay yourself. So you cannot pay yourself out of PPP and pay yourself out of EIDL. And if you come back and audit this program, they're going to be looking for that. So our recommendation is to apply for both. Look at them, look at the options there, and then make sure you manage it and keep track of it. And I got a couple of tips as we get to the end. So, so FDIC certified bank or credit union, most of these entities are servicing their customers first. Some of you may have already got into it and called somebody and they're not taking you if you're not a customer. So it's important to know that, not to say that any organization, any entity banking or credit union is going to service everybody, but they're starting with their customers. The PPP is specifically designed to keep employees employed and small businesses running. So if you run a team, you've got an assistant, that's designed to help keep those folks employed. And you're going to have to show that you've been making payroll before the disaster, and then you're going to have to be able to show that you continue to pay those folks after you receive this money. So small businesses on April 3rd, and then sole proprietors and contractors on April 10th. Again, the note, if you have real detailed questions, please give it to Small Business Administration, or more importantly, get with your bank. Working through your bank, asking these questions. A lot of them have online application processes. For instance, Regions Bank has an online application process. Navy Federal Credit Union has an application process you can go through. So you fill out the application, upload it online, but they also have helplines you can get in and call them and ask questions. So how do we apply? This is what the application looks like, and I will hand this off to Andrew because I know Andrew has gone through it with our company and been through this process.
Yep. Thanks, Jamie. So like Jamie mentioned, this is also for companies with multiple employees as well. If you are a sole proprietor and you can go through this program. If you run a team, you run an assistant, you can run through this program as well. Some of the things that we found, just like Jamie mentioned, that if you you have a good working relationship with your bank, work with them first. Banks are choosing to, if you have an account with that bank, some are better with SBA loans than others, some aren't, but go directly to your bank first, because those people that have accounts with that specific bank, they're taking care of those customers first. And then going outside of that once the demand has slowed down, but go there first. One of the things that I will tell you that we've heard from a best practice standpoint, and this is again just best practice, we've heard this from a CEO, if you do take PPP money, even though you have an account with that specific bank, it is good practice to open up a separate account with that bank for those funds, so they are accounted for and can be forgiven through this program. So just good practice, what we've been told. But this application is pretty simple to fill out. You will need some information from your CPA, bookkeeper, or accountant. But those are some just tips that we found. And like I mentioned earlier, this whole process is very fluid. This application has changed twice to my knowledge. But if it changes again or something does happen, we'll definitely keep the form, keep everybody up to date with what's going on.
That's a great point, Andrew. And we're getting information, and many of our friends in the business have been really great about sharing things, pitfalls, things like that have been happening. I know with one particular credit union, if you didn't have your business account set up prior to February 1st, they weren't processing those applications. And what we're dealing with is just that there's such a large number of applications that they're, if you will, triaging, how they accept these applications. So it is great practice to have a separate account set up if you run your real estate business for accounting purposes. But now that's one of the things that's being recommended by the folks in the banking industry, the Chamber of Commerce, is to have that separate account so you can really keep track of it when it turns around and goes through that audit process on the backside of this. Okay, so that's the PPP program. The last thing I want to touch on, the third leg of this stool, if you will, as far as benefits for realtors, independent contractors, sole providers, is what we know about unemployment. There is, like I said before, it is accounted for in the CARES Act. The ability for independent contractors and self-employed folks to apply depends on the state, because each state has its own system. We currently don't have a way to apply in Florida. Plus their system has been overwhelmed, but as we will keep track of that, and as it becomes available, we will certainly share that information with you guys. And there's the link there to get with the Florida Department of Labor and find out more information. So how do you do it? That's it. Pardon my spelling, but that's you click on that and apply. So here's some tips and lessons learned. So like we talked about, many banks and credit unions requiring a business account set up to place the idle PPP funds in. If you don't already have one, that's kind of a case by case, depends on the organization. Setting up a separate business account is a good practice. And then the SBA and the chambers recommend applying for both, like I talked about earlier, and decide after approval which one you want to take. It's going to take time to process loans and release funds. Unsure the timeline. You can use both the EIDL and PPP, but not for the same expenses, so you can't double pay. Just a couple of little things here is the EIDL program, again, is anything over the $10,000 forgivable part is a 3.75% interest rate. On the PPP loan, is anything, if it's paid for payroll over the next 8 weeks and some expenses, you know, having to do with running your business, there's a percentage that they do there that determines that the whole thing can be forgivable. But for the part that's not forgivable, it will be a 1% interest rate, still a very, very low interest loan. Our advice continues to be just like it is from the National Association of Realtors, the Chambers of Commerce, everything is when in doubt, apply. Apply and work through Small Business Administration. And the whole idea is to get this in there, get your application done. And like Andrew said, then we've got to get back to doing business the best we can, taking care of our families, you know, helping our business, helping customers, helping our communities, but get this in there and let the system work for you so that we can keep people employed and keep our businesses going. So please continue to follow us on Facebook. Here's what the Facebook page looks like. If you haven't joined us, let us know and we'll invite you in. We want to continue to share information. So now I'd like to open it up for questions. Martha, do you have any other questions there in the
Jamie,
chat?
there was one question when you were talking about the EIDL plan. It says new employees, I was told as long as you were earning income and had expenses on February 15th, you could apply.
Okay, good information to have.
And I did post a link to the Facebook page in the chat room if those want to go and click to be invited.
Okay, I'll poke it.
I know we.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good. No, I was just going to say I know we had some people that hopped on kind of in the middle of this, and just kind of wanted to recap the why we're doing this. We have gone through this with our team, and we really wanted to invite. I mean, we're all in this together as a community of agents and realtors. We want to advise you, guide you, and protect you so you can be around for the rebound. That's why we're doing this. And I've seen a lot of things come across my desk and recently in calls. And yes, marketing is important. Yes, the basics are important. Yes, leads are important. Yes, a digital office is important. But we want to make sure that our team and you or anybody who wants to listen, that you're around for the rebound. We all have to survive this, which it will pass. But that's the reason why we're doing this. So hope this has been informational. We'll go through some other questions and answers anybody has it. But that's why we wanted to do this and provide this for everybody. So please, if you're interested, just stay tuned on the Facebook page. Reach out to us. Again, we want everybody to be around for the rebound. So,
yeah, thanks, Andrew. And we're all in this together, and that's why we're doing this, because our country and it depends on small businesses, and I think that's they're realizing the amount of applications that small business is what drives everything, and then you guys, each one of you guys are a small business, and you know, it's important that we keep money flowing, keep folks employed, keep us going, and keep us in the business. And you know, we're here to help. I know with our team, we have an internet back office called One Team. We've got a link on there to COVID-19 with all the information about all the different options, opportunities, executive orders, and things as we know it. And we'll continue to share those with everyone on the Facebook page, and hopefully we can help. So I got these folks asking to add you to the Facebook page. We will certainly do that, invite you in, and post this presentation there so you have access to it and access to the links. Again, a caveat, we're not accountants, we're not attorneys, we're simply concerned real estate professionals that are doing the best we can to help our fellow professionals get through this. Thank you everybody for coming, we really appreciate it. And you know, we'll look to continue to do it in the future. Yep.
I just wanted to make sure I told everybody, if you want us to email you the slide presentation, some of you already have. If you put your email in the chat, we'll be glad to email it out to you. And Jamie and Andrew, if I may be so bold, as you know I am, I might suggest that we do this again one day next week. A lot of people came on the call late and things are changing rapidly. So maybe we could have an update next week.
That's
Sure.
a great point. Let's just 10 o'clock next Thursday. We'll be up again. I know in a week's time a lot changes, but we'll have more information. Hopefully we'll see some of the flow happening. But we'll get back up on the net and do this again. But keep active in the Facebook page and ask your questions and please apply. Please apply. The money is
Stay
there.
safe.
The money is designed to keep everybody flowing and everything going. So please apply. Thank you for your time
Stay
and
safe,
attention.
everybody.
Take care.
Take care.